Hey everybody, it's Angelo Caruso from the Present Like a Pro group on Facebook and also this YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel if you want to get more tips and strategies on how you can improve your presentation skills. So perhaps one of the most challenging issues that presenters have, I'm talking about leaders and salespeople, customer service people, people launching books, anybody on the speaking circuit for any reason, is this idea of pushing past a problem, solving a problem, when you, in fact, are the problem. This was brought to my attention recently in two different sources. Daniel Kahneman, of course, is the guy that won a Nobel Prize for originating this concept of cognitive biases, in particular the blind side bias, which says that of course you have a problem and of course you don't understand it because it's in your blind spot, right? You can't see what's in your blind spot. And this is so often true. When we are part of the problem, we would blame everybody else, the audiences. I heard a speaker one time blame the audiences in Cleveland. He said he'd never speak in Cleveland again because the audiences there are terrible, right? It was the most ridiculous thing ever. Of course, the audiences in Cleveland are the same as every place else. But he had convinced himself that it was the audiences in Cleveland that were causing him all of his pain and suffering. And so the first source was Daniel Kahneman's cognitive bias of the blind side bias. And the second was Matthew Syed's book, Black Box Thinking, in which he talks about the difficulty of solving a problem when in fact you are part of the problem. Recently, I was talking with a guy who was struggling with his sales presentations, and he said to me, Michael, I think I need help. I was wondering if you would help me with my PowerPoint. And I'm like, well, this will be easy because he's already identified that his PowerPoint is the chief source of his troubles, right? So we talked for a few minutes, and then it talked for a few minutes more. Actually, it was mostly him talking. He was so convinced that his PowerPoint was the root of all of his trouble, meaning the lack of sales. He went on and on about font sizes and font selection and the color scheme in his presentation, how many slides he had and how many graphics he had in the slides and how he was advancing the slides and all this stuff. And then it occurred to me that maybe, we had broken the number one rule of problem solving, which is properly identifying the problem. And I said to him, let me ask you a question. Can we just zoom out for a minute? Because we were really zoomed in on the PowerPoint issue, because he thought that's what we should talk about. And I said, can I ask you a question? And he said, sure. And I said, how many sales presentations do you do a year? And he said, 2. And I said, uh-oh. Because that was the root of the problem. You see, it wouldn't matter how good or bad his presentation was if very, very few people were ever seeing it. So he was going out on a lot of calls, but he was only actually showing the PowerPoint twice a year. And so once I helped him understand that his problem in the pipeline and sales and generating revenue, and his boss was on him because he wasn't closing enough business, I said, dude, sir, man, you're not working on the right problem here. You're working on PowerPoint, and PowerPoint is not your problem. So my strategy for you today is if you're trying to solve a problem, the first step is to properly identify the problem, and the second step is to work with someone who has what we call in the business a cold eye or a cold ear, right? Because we're going to see the problem differently than you are, and we're going to be able to identify things about the problem that will help you solve it faster and better. Sound good? If you'd like me to work with you, comment below or get me a message somehow. I'm easy to find at michaelangelocaruso.com. And again, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to get more strategies and tips on how you can be a better presenter. Thanks very much.